Live.
All right. Call the meeting to order. And according to this clock here, it's at 6:30 sharp. And present, we have Ro, Sue Ray, Joe Daly, and me. And so we do have a quorum.
Joe and Sue. And, okay. Anybody else other than we four?
No, just the four. Sue, me, Joe Daly. Heather has not notified me whether she's coming or not. I have not heard. Linda Johnson is out of town, so she won't be joining us. Okay, I did send to everyone the minutes for the January 28th meeting. And if everyone had a chance to preview it, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Seconded.
And Sue?
Yeah, I will second it.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Okay. All approve of the meeting minutes. Please say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any changes or any corrections? Nope. Okay. We approve of the minutes as written. Okay. The swap shop. We'll go into that at this time. The swap shop has been cleaned out. We've reorganized everything. We have the protocol in place for COVID, and most of the latter part of last year, we had it open. Tom worked at it and found that it ran very smoothly. So we have everything set up and ready to go. As long as you bring your masks and you wear gloves, you're fine. So we have actually 4 Saturdays in April that we could be open from 9 until 1. And this is only weather permitting. So if it's raining and it's considerably rain or what have you, we'll let you guys know. But we will not be open because usually no one shows up at the swap shop because of that. So it's no point in having it open. So right now we have the 4 Saturdays in April. And if you haven't had a chance to look at your calendar, please let me know if you can. It would be 9 to 11 and 11 to 1. So 2 people can share those, per Saturday. So if you can't make a decision now, just email. Yes.
Do you want a decision now, Mary?
If you can give that to me, yes, go right ahead.
April 10th.
Yes.
Second shift.
Yep. Second shift. Yep. Okay. Okay. And how about you, Joe? Are you available for doing any of these?
Oh yeah, I'll just have to look at my calendar.
Okay.
I just don't have it in front of me right now.
All right. Well, you know that Ro is booked for the 10th, second shift, and you could just email me what's your choice.
Okay.
And my husband and I will fill in for any of the blanks. And in the meantime, we're working on trying to get other volunteers to join us and man this for the summertime. So we'll see how that works out. Sue, did you find that you could do anything?
Yeah, I could probably do the 10th in the morning if you want.
Okay, 10th for Sue. First shift. Okay. All righty. And so that's it for now. If you find that you can do more, just email me, okay? But for now, we'll leave it at that. Did anyone have any questions regarding that? No? Okay. Now going on to the next project, which is the compost program. We really started talking about it last year, but I really think now is a good time that we can get it off and running. Starting with the first phase, which we'd like to approach the high school. Sue Ray has agreed to do that with me, and we need to approach the Board of Education, the business department, where we will put in place the composting program, where at the not from the point of view where the kids will be emptying their plates, but where the staff is setting up the foods. Okay, I forget what they call it, the food staff. Yeah, at the cafeteria, yeah, yep. The cafeteria staff. So we'll get them all up and running. And what I'm doing is I'm going to be reaching out to Jonas Dramitis, who is the master composter with a degree in that. And actually, he is the one that actually started the whole idea and principle of composting in this area. So I'm going to sit with him and have him help me do some talking points so that when we approach the Board of Education, we have a smooth introduction to it so that they cannot say no. We'll put it that way.
What was his name, Mary?
I think it's Sullivan. Sullivan used to be the principal of the high school, and now I don't remember his first name, but he moved into the business department of the Board of Education. Are you familiar with him, who he is?
No, I'm just thinking about the sustainable CT, initiative, and right. I don't know if Ray knows better, but I don't know if this program might be able to go through sustainable CT for either funding or best practices.
Yeah, well, actually, Mansfield put together a very detailed program for the school system throughout the state of Connecticut, how to introduce it, and get it into different parts of it, phases. But what I need to do is approach our local school just to get them to open up on a limited basis, just with the cafeteria for now. And Jonas is very familiar with how we can do that. But this is a very detailed report. I forget how many pages, something like almost 90 pages to this one report. And that was sent out to the Board of Education of all throughout the state of Connecticut. So regardless if they acknowledge it or not, they did get this from the Mansfield School through the Connecticut DEEP. They sent this report out. So they should have some familiarity with this program. But
okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, because, part of our sustainable CT certification in the section I'm working on, I think it's strategic materials management, that there right. is a section on,
composting.
Food waste.
Right.
And
right.
so
I've already given them a heads up the last time when I was on that committee in the fall. So they are aware that that program is in place to be implemented. All right. So that was already in the works, but we couldn't take credit for it because we did not get the school to buy in as yet.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll just have to. You'll have to keep me in the loop on that.
Oh yes.
Because as I was going to mention, I know I was probably going to talk a little bit about the sustainability
right.
committee, but the next deadline for filing is April next year.
Oh yeah, that by that time, yes, that there should be no issues there. We should get this on the road because just to give you all a second approach on this, besides the school, I would like to approach the grocery stores in town. Now, you cannot go to something like Big Y or Stop and Shop because they're a food chain and they don't, it doesn't work well with that, but because they have to go to headquarters. But Fitzgerald's grocery store and Peachway both are available to do this. And Fitzgerald, since they have always been community, oriented, if you will, I don't think we're going to have too much of a difficult time in getting them on board. And so that's my next approach would be to go to the grocery stores and those two. Canes, I cannot approach them because they refused to even do the fill it program when it was available. They really are not, interested in joining or, being part of these kinds of programs, if you will. So, but I think that we would have success with Fitzgerald's for sure. I don't know about Peach Wave, but I'm going to be approaching them.
Peach Wave is no longer there.
Oh, it isn't?
They closed.
Oh my goodness, that's too bad.
They're
all right.
There are other places, but not Simsbury any longer.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for that heads up. But I'll check with Fitzgerald. And the other area that we could always approach and explore is restaurants. There are 15 restaurants in town alone that we can approach. Joe's Pizza, Antonio's, Millwrights. And Millwrights, by the way, is also, they bought 3 acres of land where they're going to grow their own produce and go from farm to their table. So this fits right in. And so if I were to see if they're willing to do composting, maybe we can get them involved as well. Then there's the Old Well Tavern, Benny's, Plan B. There's plenty of restaurants. And I would think that with maybe, again, they can only collect certain foods. In other words, you can't, if you're familiar with what compost consists of, it's mainly fruits and vegetables and breads like that, tea, egg shells crushed, and coffee filters. But you can't have meat products or fish products and dairy like cheese and so forth. Those cannot be accepted. So I think that there's plenty of opportunities to get people on board to participate in a compost program. Tom Roy did say that he can get us containers to be distributed to these places in order to collect the compost, the scraps, the food scraps, and then getting them to the farms. And we have several farms already willing to take these food scraps. Fleming Farm is one. I know the Halls Farm is another. And I think the Community Farm is also, that's just to name a few. So I think that we'll see how we do with our first approach with the school and move from there. And we'll just report at our following meeting and see how successful we can be on this.
I just one question, Mary. That report you mentioned put out by, did you say it was the town of Mansfield?
I believe it's Mansfield. I don't have it in front of me, but.
Is that just for within schools, or is that?
Only schools.
Only schools, okay.
Yeah, every school in the state of Connecticut, yes.
Because, I've been thinking, about, composting and food scraps and trying to relate it just to, recycling in general that's done, at residences. And, what's the biggest problem is, people putting things in their container that shouldn't be put in there.
Right, contaminating it.
And, I was just thinking, you know, when you ask the public to bring food scraps to wherever, you know, there's always going to be that issue of policing what is, you know, what they're actually bringing. But if you do roll it out, you know, with restaurants or you know, the schools or I guess those are just the two
Yes,
entities.
Yeah.
I guess there's a little more policing, and you're a little more sure that, you know, the correct stuff is being composted.
Well, you see, at the stations where they're food prepping, for example, in a cafeteria, those people are already hired hands. They'll have a chart in front of them to know exactly what can be scrapped and what can't be. We can't contaminate, and that's a message that's going to be loud and clear to each and every one of these individuals who manage the food scrap. So they'll know with good signage what can be acceptable and what's not, because we can't contaminate the program, you know, the collection. And so that's going to be very clear and clearly defined, if you will. And the same would go with the school. It would be simple because you don't have a lot of staff working at it. You might have only one or two preparing the foods because a lot of it's already prepackaged, okay? And we can't go the route of having the students emptying out their trays and disposing of their foods and scraping off the food. That will never be acceptable because they'll throw in anything. So they'll contaminate it easily. So it has to be in charge of adults who are in the cafeteria staffing. Now, the same thing, if you are going to approach the restaurants, the same thing goes for their staff. They will have clearly defined do's and don'ts. So they'll know exactly what's allowed and what's not allowed.
So would this also be expanded to town buildings?
Town buildings, yes. My hope is first to get the town board, the school, but I certainly can imagine when people do gather, which right now they're not attending, you know, any kind of meetings, but once the rooms are opened up to other meetings, we definitely need to expand that, because I think then it's also closely monitored again by the custodians and anybody else who's cleaning up after a meeting if there's food available. So one step at a time, but I approached the school first, again, with our talking points, but I definitely, when it comes to school buildings, such as school buildings, town buildings, that definitely once I hear that they're opening up, which won't be that far in the future, we can get them on board, because of all places, the town of Simsbury really is where it all stems from, the recycling committee. So what better place to get it going?
Do you know where I could get that report?
I can email it to you.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I can email the entire report. Hope you have plenty of ink in your printer. No, but that's all right. You could read it. It's very detailed, very, very good report. They did all the hard work for us. So, and again, to me, after reading it all, the only thing I needed, and I'm, like I say, once I talked to Jonas, he's with the Signature Marketing, and he was very involved in a couple of our presentations for composting when we put them on as the public interest program years ago. But he certainly would help me with getting that message delivered. Okay. And I know that he would help also with the restaurants as well as with the grocery stores. So until further notice, but I will send the report to all, just so that not just you, Joe, because I think everyone should see it, because I was very impressed with it. And I think you'll be able to see how detailed it was and what the plan is. So I'll email it to Linda. Sue Ray has it, and I'll send it to you, Rosemary, and besides Joe and Heather, if she's interested. Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions in regards to that? Now, this program, by the way, is unlike the swap shop, which is only a program that runs from April through October. This is going to be a year-round project. So hopefully this will make it show and prove that the recycling committee is not just only about the swap shop, period. It's also about something that's going year-round, and I think is something that I've wanted to take care of and do for a number of years. So I'm glad to see that we might be able to get it going now. Okay. Is there anything more on the any more questions on the program?
Not at present.
No.
No.
Okay. Well, do we have any unfinished business? Okay. Under new business, Joe, would you like to give us a report on the sustainability committee now that you're on that committee?
Sure. I'm not sure how in depth you want to get. You know, I can share my screen and show you several things, or I can just give you a quick update on kind of where we're at.
Well, you can give us a quick update, but if you have something that you'd like to share with us later, you can send it to us.
Okay.
Whatever works for you is
well,
fine.
you know, I've been to 2 meetings, and you know, I've done a lot of research, and you know, I've learned a few things, some interesting things that Eastern Connecticut State University is they're really in charge of this program for Connecticut,
Right.
and you know, it goes all the way back to you know, like 2001 when they started getting into the sustainability. And you know, I read all the way back to where sustainability, you know, that term really came to be in 1987, I think it was, when the UN released a report about the Earth's you know, natural resources being depleted. So, and you know, Eastern has, you know, been involved in this, like I said, for some time. You know, they even have an area of studies where you can get, I guess, a degree in it, or a related degree. So, you know, and there's a sustainable CT website that has an awful lot of information on it.
Right.
And you know, when you go through it and you look at who the program, you know, who the staff is, and you know, who the partners are, who the funders are, you can really see that it has a strong backing. And it, you know, some of the things I didn't know is it also creates like a platform for municipalities to share information and best practices. You know, it's kind of like what we were just talking about with the food scrap report, and some best practices there. And you know, it also gives you links and connections to people and to funding too. You know, so I'm not sure about, you know, this food scraps program we're talking about, if there'll be any funding needed. But sustainable CT, you know, that's an avenue that we can pursue.
Right. I asked Tom Roy if he would work on that as possible for grant money, if that's what we're talking about. But it's a matching grant, so there has to be some way of doing that. So I don't know, But this time I was assured that we would not really require that, but you're right.
So, you know, in, let's see, in October of 2019 is when Simsbury received their silver certification. And I think there's only 19 towns in Connecticut that have a silver certification. And I think you needed 400 points to reach silver, and we had 425
right.
You know, as a town. So, you know, that, like I said, the next filing is April 2022. And, you know, I'm definitely interested in this food scraps program here to see if, you know, that'll be at a point where it'll be, you know, eligible or count for some additional points.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I know in the last filing, we got points for the electronics recycling at the transfer station, the mattress recycling, some municipal town waste.
But our swap shop was also included.
Yeah, yep, I believe so. So, you know, like I said, there's kind of this one section, the strategic materials management section, that I'm kind of responsible for. So, you know, anything regarding the food scraps, I just want to stay in the loop on.
Okay.
You know, in some of the certifications, I'm still learning about this. Some of the points that we got credit for, some of them are considered rolling, or I forget what the other term is. I'm not sure if you remember, Ray, but some of them are either rolling, or other ones you have to get recertified each certification. So I'm still learning about that part of it. And, you know, the Sustainable CT website, you know, like I said, there's a lot of information there. And if you create a user ID, and I believe the head of the sustainability committee has to go in there and allow you to be a user, you know, so when you sign up and create a user ID, they know you're tied to the town of Simsbury. So like when I go in there now and log in on Sustainable CT, I can click dashboard and it'll give me the Simsbury, you know, information. Like I can see the Simsbury report that was filed in 2019.
Okay.
So, you know, that's kind of it in a nutshell. You know, like I said, you know, about a year from now, April 2022 is when the town has to have everything in.
Yep. But I think we'll be well on our way with this program. I would think before the end of the year, in one way or form or another, if not just with the school, with at least maybe a grocery store and maybe one or two, a few restaurants. But that's my hope. I think that once you get the school on board, that alone should take care of it. And we'll just write up a report once that happens and submit it.
Yeah, there's you know, definitely a section for documents, right? You know, they want to see any and all documents you have. You know, you upload them and attach them to the section. So
there's a lot of paperwork that goes with this. You have to have documentation on everything.
And the only other thing that's kind of come up in the sustainability committee was, you know, there was some talk that's, you know, some towns have combined their clean energy task force, their sustainability committees, and their recycling committees into like one green committee.
Yeah. Well, that's not happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had that discussion already with Tom Roy, and he knows where I stand on that. And I think that the idea of Clean Energy Task Force and the sustainability program together is fine. But I think that we're on board with what we're, you know, what our plan is, and I think we're headed in the right direction. And
yeah, I think there's definitely some more overlap with the Clean Energy Task Force and the Sustainability Committee as opposed to our committee, a little lesser so with our committee.
Right.
I think recycling is a very narrow subject field, whereas the clean energy and the sustainability is a much broader type of committee. But everybody understands what recycling is.
That's true.
Okay, is that it, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah, you know, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, I can always, you know, either in this meeting or another meeting, I can always share my screen and kind of walk through the Sustainable CT website. There's so much information on there.
Yeah. Well, I still have some of that webpage, and I could forward that to the committee and as background information for you. But certainly, I think you we would put you on our agenda as you know, to get a report from you, because you do represent us in a way on that committee. And I think that it would be good if you could we could count on you to give a report on a regular basis.
Yeah, it might be good. Maybe next meeting, I can just show you the section I'm working on.
Okay.
Just so everybody's aware of you know, the different actions that can count as points.
Yep.
Is it possible to see the report that Simsbury did last time, or is it too big?
Well, you can look at it. I've never seen it printed out, but you can go in and look at it online. It's a lot. You know, maybe next meeting I can show you the report for our section or that I'm working on. You know, I can show you guys that.
Yeah. What's the number on that part of it? Is it 9?
Yes.
Okay, 9. Okay. I think I still have it. So I'll look into my system and see if I have it, and I'll forward it to others and you as well, Joe, so you can confirm that that's the case. And so we'll have a little more background information when we meet again. So, but when this first was brought to our attention back October of 2019, I believe it was. And it was asked, I sat in that meeting and I'm listening to all of the comments, and I says, you know, I'm adding up the numbers already. And I says, we've got the numbers. I just knew that all the things that Tom Roy had already accomplished on the basis of solar energy that was that on the roofs of all of the buildings that we have, and so all the different efforts that he has made, I just added up everything, and I said, you know, I think we're already there. When they looked, oh, you mean to tell me you think you have 400? I said, yeah, I do. And sure enough, we did, because it was already there. But at that time, I did mention the compost, but they said it had to be actually implemented at that point, and it wasn't. We just had we did have a learning seminar, if you will, for the public on composting, but we didn't go all the way like I would hope that we can do going forward. But yeah, I'll look for that report and I'll forward it out. And Joe, if you have anything that you can send to us, that all the better. And then I'll have you as one of the items on the agenda to keep us up to date.
Okay.
That's great. Great. I'm glad you're joined that committee. Okay. Is there any other new business? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay. And seconded?
I'll second it.
Seconded. And time is, let's see, 7:06. Is that correct?
7:07.
7:07. Gee whiz. Whole minute. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate everyone chiming in.
Yep.
And on to the next step. On to the next step.